I wouldn't have put my life in danger.
Down, and if they breach the floor, or if they breach the door, he wants everybody to lay down. And as I said, I've been in these situations before, unfortunately. Similar, nothing exactly the same.
Can you explain for people who don't know your background?
I'd probably prefer not to, and I'm sorry. I just don't want to get into that. But I'm pretty observant of what's going on around me, and so we were sitting there. We were just starting, the debate, and I started noticing a lot of activity with Capitol Police and with Sergeant of Arms. I started hearing, you could hear their earpieces, which is unusual.
So you are where in the chamber at this point?
First, I was second or third row.
And where are the police officers that you are able to hear what's happening in their earpieces?
Well, they were running up and down, not running, but they were moving up and down the aisle.
Greetings. I'm Hoss Turlington of Jay, Oklahoma. My last video was on our U.S. Congressman Markwayne Mullin and how he misrepresented his past, stealing valor from those who earned it. The purpose of this video is to play some clips from the July 26 C-SPAN interview on the January 6th Capitol riot and show you once again how Markwayne Mullin embellishes his role and asserts himself as an authority on everything from tactics to crowd psychology. The part you just saw was Markwayne being asked by the journalist about his background after hearing him claim that he corrected the Capitol Police lieutenant during the riot. Then you heard her try to ascertain the distance of the Capitol Police from Markwayne after he claimed to have heard the conversations going on in the police officer's earpieces. His refusal to answer the first question about his background, which I will answer for him, along with the absurdity of his being able to hear what was going on in a police officer's ear who was 20 feet from him while moving, give you an idea of just how much BS Markwayne spews in this interview about his role in the riots. The bottom line is that Markwayne Mullin, a multimillionaire with no law enforcement training or military background, has the habit of constantly finding a way to talk himself into the center of action, even if he did nothing. Not only that, he asserts himself as the authority on things which he has no training, background, or understanding. Markwayne Mullin engages in a nuanced, subtle form of stolen valor where he repeatedly makes vague references to things he's seen and participated in overseas. For example, in this video alone, I will play for you at least 3 different times Markwayne Mullin alluding to having experienced something similar overseas. We don't know if the supposed overseas event was a riot, a 5'2", 110-pound unarmed girl getting shot in the neck by a cop, or maybe it was some late-night drunks misbehaving at McDonald's, because he won't clarify.
And if they breach the floor, or if they breach the door, he wants everybody to lay down. And as I said, I've been in these situations before, unfortunately, and I've been in those situations before overseas, and I recognize that there was an issue. I went to the triage center, which I haven't seen a thing like that since, stuff you see overseas. And the Capitol Police showed great restraint in that. I mean, there's a lot of situations, especially overseas, that in those circumstances, shots would have started being firing in the opposite direction, and people would have lost their lives.
Markwayne Mullin also engages in a strange, backhanded compliment style of others. as though putting them down elevates his supposed actions. At the same time he criticizes their training or competence, he compliments their personal attributes, making the people he criticizes hesitant to call Markwayne out. He seems to be on their team, and he does say good things about them. But then he goes on to say they have no training or inadequate training, they don't know how to respond, and repeatedly brags about he had to tell practically everyone what to do.
They were using their head. They were thinking, even though they may have lacked training, they didn't lack discipline. And like I said, there was still a lot of noise going on in his earpiece, and he was trying to make decisions the best he could. What my observation is that Capitol Police and Sergeant Orange did the best they could, and they were doing the best they possibly could with the training and equipment they had. The problem is that they weren't really trained for it. It was very evident right off the bat that they didn't have any idea how to get the members or get the staff off the House floor, but they were willing to react. They were willing to react, but they didn't actually have the training or the protocols put in place to be able to do what properly needed to be done. Now, was still going to put their life on the line to protect us, doing an outstanding job with the tools and the training they had. They were doing the best they could.
He boasts that he was teaching the lieutenant how to respond to the riot and that he had to instruct a military veteran congressman on tactics. For example, in this short video alone, you will find that, according to Markwayne Mullin, he's an authority on contingency operations, use of force procedures, legal standards for use of force, crowd control, professional crowd agitators of riots, security officer earpiece responses to emergencies, riot response tactics, gas mask anxiety, federal law enforcement training programs, and general alpha male dominance.
At that time, Lieutenant came to the mic and said, we're going to go on lockdown. And I had, he said for everybody to get in and lay down. And I stood up at that point and I said, sir, you're wrong. And I turned around to everybody and I said, do not lay down on the floor. I said, everybody, if they hit that door, we need to go out those doors and down those steps. And then the lieutenant walked over to me and I said, sir, I mean, no disrespect, but you don't lay down during a riot. That's how you get people killed. People are going to get stomped. They're going to get walked over. I mean, people that get hurt are the people that lose their footing during a riot. And he understood that. And he was very receptive. And like I said, there was still a lot of noise going on in his earpiece, and he was trying to make decisions the best he could. What my